Welcome to Momentum Monday. Today is Sunday, June 9th. Howard, where is your Raptors t-shirt?
What's that?
Where is your Raptors t-shirt?
Oh, you don't want to jinx anything. You just gotta one game at a time. I'm in my Coronado home office. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Beautiful Sunday. You got the same weather.
Exactly. Sunny.
Sunny in San Diego.
Yeah.
And it's a sunnier week for the markets. Let's get right to it. Last Sunday, things looked a little bleakish. We'd crossed below the 200-day, even though the 200-day was flat. A lot of stocks looked weak. You had tariff concerns. You had stocks breaking down, actually. And then you had a quick jihad to the upside.
Yeah, it seems the White House is actively manipulating the markets. I mean, I don't want to sound weird, but that's what it seems they do with all the news.
Yeah, I don't want to be that paranoid. I mean, it would seem that the person in charge has some money on the line here. He's making it look easy to call tops and bottoms with his tweets. But it is self-fulfilling in many ways, and it just chips away at trust. I mean, which is why I really like to focus on just the big picture. And big picture last week was not so much panic. It was just like, hey, let's prove before I get back into the markets, I want to see some strength. And sure enough, this week we got some strength, and now we have like a lot of stocks that look interesting. I'll start with the breadth. The shakeout over the last month has created some new leadership, which kind of emerged this week. Chipotle's, McDonald's, Starbucks, restaurants. Take a look. Chipotle's looked terribly weak, ready to break out last month, but rolled over. And then boom, this week regained, pretty much right back at all-time highs. McDonald's broke through. It's a stock that we've chatted about here for months, one that I own, and really took off once it got through this 200. So kind of held in there over May and took off. Starbucks, same thing, held in really well in May and then took off to all-time highs. So you have restaurants, you have Visa, MasterCard, two American giant e-commerce railroad companies, all-time highs. MasterCard looks phenomenal, which I own. You have Microsoft, kind of wasn't giving much ground in the May sell-off, took off, and actually it was starting to give some ground, and then just went from below 120 right back to all-time highs. So that was
it's really interesting. Last Monday we saw the last standing industry, basically enterprise software, breaking down, and that was basically the bottom for the week.
Yeah, and to me that looked like, I'll admit it, that looked like, hey, this is going to take some time. But they didn't roll over. Like a lot of the leaders, Zendesk, ZS, Salesforce.
So many of them had a really bad Monday, and they look like they're getting into a correction territory. But no, they bounced. And last week we actually saw a panic in short covering because all of those names are heavily shorted. On that breakdown on Monday, there were a lot of new short sellers that were trapped, and they had to cover. And then we saw Thursday, Friday, we saw those huge breakouts. Many of those software stocks actually had.
Yeah, look at Zscaler, ZS, which was one I was hoping to get in the low 60s, but never got there.
20 to 25% intra-week range, which is insane. But
yeah, I don't know what it really means, but I'm back scanning for winners. Beyond Meats, which is kind of you can get a feel for investor kind of appetite for risk and silliness is definitely.
Yeah.
I think it's bigger than 100 of the S&P 500 companies and is doing 40 million in revenues or something. So we're definitely, people are embracing. It was an $8 billion market cap.
8 billion market cap, but it only has 58 million outstanding shares, and of them the float is I think like 15, 16 million. So very tiny float. So when you have such a tiny float and very little supply, because it's a fairly recent IPO and insiders are not allowed to sell for 6 months.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of positive catalyst, we can see that short squeeze. But I wouldn't be surprised if they go for a secondary offering anytime soon. I mean, they would be crazy if they don't. But
yeah, raise money. Okay, so let's go back to stocks we care about: enterprise, restaurants, fintech like payments. Salesforce back, looked weak and then back, boom, right near all-time highs. So I think this week will be a really interesting week. Over the weekend, tariffs are back off. For the people that didn't buy into the tariffs and just bought the dips, great. Now let's see what the market does if that was being priced in at all. I think the way he's doing this, listen, they want this market higher into the next election. The question will be, if he gets reelected, looking further out, what will he want his last 4 years legacy to be, which is still going to be all about the economy and the market, because it's all about his legacy. So, so I'm in this Shopify too, which just doesn't seem to go down. This is one that I've owned. What else? Twilio, look back at all-time, right back.
All of them is just incredible.
All-time highs.
Yeah.
So the weakest stocks have been the FANGs still. If we look at Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, Google, they're just not rallying. Facebook, still 20% below its all-time highs. Google, 20% below all-time highs. Netflix, I don't know. Apple, 20% below all-time highs. Netflix, 20% below all-time. Well, not 20%, but 10%. Wasn't it over 400 at some point, maybe a couple of years ago?
I don't think so, but let's see. Oh yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. So 2 years digestion almost, and still 15, 20% below all-time highs. So everybody thought as soon as FANG corrected, the markets would correct, and the S&P is what, 2-3% below all-time highs.
Yeah.
So the markets, everybody complained when it was just FANG, and now it's not just FANG. So people aren't paying attention, and I think this week will be a big week, because I think I saw, you've got Disney, you've got Latin American stocks, Mercado Libre, which is, we're starting to see some strength in Latin American stocks. We are seeing biotech stocks show up on our list.
Yeah, quite a few biotech breakouts and setups.
Yeah, Tandem Diabetes stock was like a $2 stock. It's starting to show up on institutional lists at 60. So it's already a 30 bagger and starting to show up.
Huge breakout.
Yeah, QURE, which we have been talking about here. One I think an interesting industry, Ivan, that is this genomic string. This showed up on our list, VCYT.
Yeah.
So here's a genomic. It's not losing tons and tons of money, but a genomic diagnosis. The famous ones are CRISPR, which just got a huge infusion, CRSP. And pretty big breakout on some cash infusion news. But the winner in this space, VCYT. So if you look at this industry, this one's held up the best. And on this industry news, so this one's on my watch list to maybe add a few shares. But it's had a great run, but this is the leader in genomic diagnostics. And no one's ever heard of it. How many people are following it on StockTwits? Let me just take a look. Hang on, VCYT. There are 600 people. So not unknown, but compared to Tandem Diabetes, which has 13,000 followers, and Walt Disney, which has 71,000 followers, that's a stock that's interesting to me. MDSO, Ivan, is another one that showed up on our list. So another medical stock. great base.
Yeah.
So why don't you walk people through the product that where people can find these ideas on our list? This is our Market Wisdom product. Quickly.
Yeah. So we under marketwisdom.com we offer 3 separate products under the umbrella of one. We have the Momentum 50 list, which is a list of the 50 current market leaders, and it's an excellent source of swing, intraday, and longer-term ideas for more nimble traders who know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And for people who don't have the time to do their own research and their own stock picking, we also offer our long-term picks, like one new idea a month. And he's sharing his market views on a weekly basis. And we also offer shorter-term ideas on a daily basis. I offer a daily market review, where I cover the most interesting themes in the current market. We talk about risk management. Should we be aggressive? Should we be defensive? And we also share some short-term swing ideas, which vary in duration. Sometimes they're only 1 to 2 days. Sometimes they're longer. It just depends on the market environment. Like, we adjust to the market.
Yeah, I think what's interesting about the momentum list this week, and this is not, there's lots of different ways you can build a momentum list. So our way is just one way, and our way we track it is our own unique way, and everybody can read it differently. I think if we looked at these top 20, and you could scroll down the whole thing, Ivan, but let's look at your first screen here, the top screen. I would say 99% of the investing public, there's not, other than Disney, there is not one company on that top 20 that people have heard of. If you went out in the streets and asked a random 200 people or 1,000 people to name the best performing stocks, you would get a lot of like, who, what do they do? And I love that. As bearish as people want to be, and as weird as people talk about valuations and blah blah blah, but overall, with low interest rates, you got an easy Fed. You got to talk about interest rate cuts for whatever reasons. You may not like it, you may hate it, but if we were to scroll up to the top here, I love the fact that there's strong stocks that no one's ever heard of, both in software. We're seeing, we got solar, we've got, like I said, Disney. Everybody's talked about Netflix, but it's Disney that's on the list. We've got aerospace with Hexcel. We've got application software, open source software. We've got enterprise software. We've got biotech. So, and as we talked about, not even on this list, there's Visa, MasterCard. We've got PayPal at all-time highs. And then we have restaurants at all-time highs. So it's a pretty target-rich environment for people that like buying growth and momentum. And I think people are probably just not following the right stocks out there. So it feels like this market's kind of under-owned, and that's an opportunity. Sometimes these runs can last for a month. They come out of nowhere, or 2 months. So you just want to be prepared. Hopefully that helps. Ivan, anything else you're seeing?
I mean, you're correct that because in the past couple of months, the market were really choppy, especially for swing traders. I mean, volatility is amazing for intraday traders. You can make a lot of money if you're nimble. It was kind of hard for the rest of the market participants. And now all of a sudden, starting last week, the market environment is amazing for swing traders. And for swing traders, it's really important when the market environment is favorable to push it, because out of 52 trading weeks in the year, you probably have 6 to 8 weeks where the market is really, really favorable for swing trades, when you really have to make.
And by swing trades, these could be 30 to 50% moves. So I'm definitely went from last week worried to not checking the market to this week catching up very quickly and saying, wait a minute, things have changed. And that's just from watching my own watch list and then checking our Market Wisdom list. For people who want to sign up for Market Wisdom, if you use the code Peloton, you get $250 off the yearly number if you pay for an annual subscription. So go ahead and do that. Take advantage of that. And then, Ivan, we'll see you next week.
Yeah, see you next week.